What I'll do is I'll jump to my web page. Hopefully you can see this Glow homepage. And the first part is just to make sure that you are aware of how to add and access Google Classroom. So this is my homepage on Glow, my landing page. You can see because I've clicked on the wee person at the top menu on the left-hand side that this is my homepage that I can personalize. What I'm going to use add, and I can create my own tiles with the personal tile, but I'm going to add from the library. This is a library of all the apps that are in Glow, but I want to search for Classroom. And there's quite a lot that comes up, but Google Classroom is at the bottom. You might want to be more specific and search for Google, not Google. Google Classroom, and that's the one that you want. When you click on that, you'll have the option to add it to your Launchpad. And once you've added it, you can close that window. And if you go to Launchpad in the top left-hand corner, it will take you back to your home landing page. You'll see that Google Classroom now appears. And the last wee bit here is if we press this icon on the bottom right beside the Glow icon, Edit Launchpads, I can drag that up to the top and I can reorder them any way that I like. If I want to put screenshots to the end there, I can move blogs up and that will put screenshots down to the end. Save those changes, and now anytime I access Glow, I should be able to get Classroom right from my landing page. Is that okay? Any questions about that? I'll just give a wee moment for feedback. Any questions about adding the Classroom tile to your landing page before we move on? If there's no questions, I'll just take that as a ready to move on. So, when in editing the Launchpads, there's just an option to save changes down at the bottom. So there's a wee blue button that says Save Changes here in the bottom right of the screen. And once I've saved it, it will keep it in that order for me. I think someone said about subscriptions. It is Google, the Google Suite is available through Glow, but your local authority has got to have requested that. So your local authority has to have the Google Suite activated for you in Glow. So that might be one. If you're wanting to use that, get in touch with whoever your local authority, IT or administrator is, and just double check that Google Suite is available in your authority, and they can request that. Okay, the next wee part then, you should hopefully see here my classes homepage. So when I click on Google Classroom, it's going to take me to my Google Classroom homepage. And you can see all of the classes that I am in or that I own. So the wee difference you can see here is the arrow tells me I own it, and this one, for example, it tells me that I can open my work because that's Richard's classroom and not mine. It also tells you below the name of the class that there are 0 students. That lets me know I'm the teacher. And again, on this one, Digital School, that is Richard's class, and you can see it's got his name at the bottom as the teacher and not me. What's also quite handy here just on this homepage is it's telling me here that for George's class, I have upcoming work, and that's due on Friday by midnight. So end of the day, close of play on Friday, I've got a task. So I can see all of that at a glance when I come to this Google homepage. What a lot of people comment on about Google Classroom is that it's very clean by design. There's not a lot of clutter on the page. I have my initial that just tells you about my Glow account, what I'm signed in as. I have the Google Apps, so I can select different Google Apps using the app select in the top right corner. And I can create a new class by pressing this Add button. On the left-hand side, these stacked lines give me some options to jump to different classes quicker, and I can view classes that I am enrolled in, and I can archive archive any old classes that I'm no longer using. So that is it for the Google Classroom homepage. Are there any questions on that? Is that typing?
Not for what?
Yeah.
So going in through via Google Classroom, yep, on Go. So you're going to access it through Glow. When you use the Google Classroom app, it will log you in with your Glow username. And it'll take you to here, and you are ready to create a class. So what I think I'll do is I'll take you through the first step there. We will create a class. So to create a class, I'm going to press the Add button, and I can either join or create. So we'll start with creating a class. You've got to name it. You can add other details to it. Let's just say it's a primary sector classroom, and we're in room 5, for example. And you can create that class. Obviously, those details about section, subject, and room would be helpful if you were in a physical building. Might just help learners remember where that classroom is. So it'll take a wee moment for that to set up. And it'll open up that classroom for you. So that is your class created. That is all you need to do to make a class. You can change the theme to make it something more relevant. You might want to pick something school-based, and that's just with the select theme option here. There are different subject areas there. You want to do something sciencey, and you can choose that theme, and it'll just make it a wee bit maybe more relevant to who your learners are. You can also create your own banner and upload that. You can upload a photo to make that your header, the banner. So that's us. We've created a classroom. We've named it. We've added any other details to it. The next part would be to get some learners into our class. Now, you can add users by email. If I go to people at the top here, I can add teachers, and I would recommend adding a colleague just for safeguarding and for potential situations like we are at the moment. You might not be in school for whatever reason, so your colleagues can still access your classroom and assign tasks to your learners. So you can enter an email address for that. Likewise, you can go to your learners and you can input emails for them. However, the easiest, the simplest way I would suggest is this class code at the bottom. So you can see that down there. That automatically generates itself. And if I go back to the home page of my class with the stream button, just below the name of the classroom here, I've got this class code. I can make it larger. And simply by highlighting it, copy and pasting that, whether that's in an email or you've got Microsoft Teams already set up, however you're going to send that to learners, that's your own decision. But that's the easiest way. If they have that classroom code, when they're on their class homepage and they want to join a classroom, they go to the add sign, join, and you can put in a class code. It's going to tell me I can't join that class because it's my own class, but that would normally let you into the class and you would be a member of it. If you are using the class code for pupils to join, you might want to turn that off once you've got all your learners. Apologies for that. So once all of your learners have joined your class, you would want to go up to settings. So that's the cog up at the top for settings. You can edit any of the details about your class from here. But what you want to do is disable your class code once you've got your learners in. Once you've got the 33 children in your class, I would disable the class code so that no one can get a hold of that by mistake. They can't share it with their friends. and have them join the class for a bit of disruption. You've got complete control of who's in your class by disabling the class code once you've got your learners in. You can also edit some of the access that learners have, whether they can post or they can comment, or only the teacher can comment in that stream section. We'll have a look at stream in a wee second. So you can have a look through. If someone deletes something, you've still got access to that. You can see who has deleted things. So if there's a rude comment in there, you can have a look and see that that was written, even though it's now been deleted. So there's quite a few bits of control. If you do edit anything, you need to save it and then close the class settings. So that's joining a class. For learners to join and for you to invite others. You can invite them through people if you have email addresses, but that could take quite a long time, and you obviously need to double and triple check that you have the exact correct email address. You don't want to be inviting parents. You don't want to be inviting the wrong George Milliken, and it should be George Milliken 2 at Go. So the easiest and safest way would be from the stream page, choosing that class code. Once you've sent that class code, you just want to make sure that it is disabled. I'm going to enable mine again for now, in case I need that for demonstrating again. So there is my class code. Copy paste that. All a learner has to do is come to this home page, press add, and join the class. Any questions about creating or joining a class? Just in talk about server error, there might be a wee bit just about volume. It might just be that there's a lot of people on Go again, so that might take a wee moment to set up new classes or new accounts when you're using it.
Mummy's gonna put.
So that server error, I'm thinking, might just be traffic. If it's going through a setup, you might just have to try that again off after the seminar, after the webinar. Yeah, we've got somebody else. Just double check your microphones are muted. The only two voices here are myself and Richard. Just in the middle of that screen, you'll see you've got the option with the wee microphone to mute. Hopefully they'll recognise we've got a carnival now as well in the background, but if you can all double check your microphones and just make sure you've got the microphone off in the video call. So just in the centre of the screen, that sounds a wee bit better. So we've created a classroom, we've set it up so that we can have learners join it and we can invite learners, although I would recommend inviting them with that class code. So on the interface here, we've talked about joining a class with the add button. We can see the classes that we are members of, whether we own them or we are a pupil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this demo class I've set up. So in the main section, you can see my header here. You can see any upcoming work, any learning tasks that have been assigned on the left here. And down in the middle is this stream of any content that I have shared. So I can start with this on the stream by simply saying, hello, everyone. So I can address all of my class using the stream, and that could just be a hello, how are we? And you can see below that learners in my class can respond to that, so they can leave their own comment. I can also for example, if you have more than one class, you can choose to put that comment into all of the classes that you have, or just some of the classes, and you can again post that. I could also here, I can add a link to any files I have in my Google Drive a link to a website, a file that I have, or a YouTube video that I'd like to share, so I can add these very quickly and easily and post that for my learners so they can see any updates. As I said, that good morning everyone will go to all of the classes, so that's handy if you've got more than one class, or perhaps you're a head of a department or a head teacher, you've got lots of classes you can dip into. And that's really it for the stream. It is as simple as that. It will post any time that there is learning tasks being posted. But what we're really going to look for those is in the classwork section. So any questions about stream just before we move on? It's very simple. There's not a lot to it. Is that Mrs. Swanky? Yes, you can turn the class code back on. So once you've turned the class code off, you can turn the class code back on. You can change it, and you can make a new class code at any time. So if you've got new learners joining your class, or you've got someone leaving your class, you might want to just refresh the class code so that it's a new class code, and anyone who was a member can no longer rejoin with that old class code if they've still got that. Google Drive is more or less OneDrive. It's the same sort of product, and it's just Google's version. Once you start using Google Classroom, you've got access to all of the Google Suite tools, the G Suite tools. I mentioned those up in the wee chocolate bar, the wee waffle in the top corner. You can access these different Google apps. Drive is your storage. Classroom is the classroom space we're looking at the moment. Sheets is a spreadsheet document. Docs is a word processing document. Your calendar, I think, is limited just to use with Classroom through the Glow tenancy, but that may have changed in an update. And Slides is a presentation tool, similar to PowerPoint. We've also got Sites, where you can build your own website. Very, very quick and very easy. I think that's something we might look at in another webinar. And that's really the apps I think that you're going to use here. There is another that might be worth looking at in another webinar, is Google Jamboard. That's a fantastic tool, a bit like an online whiteboard, and it works very well with Classroom. So that might be something that you want to explore after this webinar, and I think it's something we would cover in a future webinar, looking at some of those other tools. But Jamboard works very well with Classroom. So that's it. Yep, just like OneDrive, or similar to OneDrive. So in classwork, you can see that mine is quite busy because Richard and I have been doing a few demos this morning and yesterday, just making sure everything worked as we wanted it to. So the first thing I want to show you here is you've got the class drive folder, which is for any learning materials that you create for the class. If you create a Google Doc for a Word document, or you create a presentation with slides for learners to view, anything that you create for your class, Google Drive automatically sets up a new folder, like someone said, a bit like the OneDrive. So any tasks that you create for your learners will automatically be recreated in that OneDrive, Google Drive space, and your learners can access that, and so can other teachers if they're a member of your class. Your Google Calendar will just show you which tasks you have upcoming. So I don't want any notifications on that just now. And you can see here I've got a reading assignment due for Friday night. I'll be busy with that. So that calendar will just let you see what is upcoming in your class. On the left-hand side, there is this option for all topics, and it will list any other topics that you create. So let's get started by creating a topic. If you don't create topics, you'll quickly find a long list of tasks here, and that might become a little unwieldy. So press the blue create, and we want to create a topic. So I already have a literacy in English. Let's follow that up with a numeracy and mathematics. And we'll do health and well-being, seeing as those three are the responsibilities of all. And that means that if I click on those topics, you'll see I've got no lessons for health and well-being. I've got no lessons for numeracy and math, but you can see the lessons that I've already assigned for literacy are in there. So we've got some reading comprehension. I'll come back to that in a wee second. And I can view all topics again with that all topics button. Now, where these come in handy with the topics is when you go to create an assignment or a task for learners. It means that you can categorise them with these topics. You can have as many or as few topics as you like. So what I'll do is come back and see, I think Richard sounds like he's typing, he's handling any questions. What I'm going to do is create a piece of content and I'll show you how I'm using the topics there. So when I press create, the simplest one I think you can do is create a question. So I'm going to start with a question. How are you feeling today? So a simple check-in with my class. I can put the question at the top. I can choose whether it's a short answer or multiple choice. I want an answer. I want some text in here. I can put instructions in here. So if I just want them to type a statement, 1 or 2 sentences is fine. So you can add any other instructions your learners need. You can create a Google Doc, slide, sheet, a drawing or a form to go with that, but we're not going to look at those just now. What I really like about questions is that it can be really simple and really quick just to set up something as easy as that. Again, I can add a Google Drive document, a link, a file, or a YouTube video, but for this purpose, I just want to ask a question to check in my class. Now, I can choose it to go to all students, or I can pick students. At the moment, Richard's the only student, so it's going out to all students. I don't need any points for this. It's not going to be a marked or assessed piece of work. I don't need a due date, but I can add one. So let's say I want that done by today, and that will automatically set for want it done by today. It'll automatically set by midnight. And for the topic, I want it to be health and well-being. Students can reply to each other. So if someone says, I'm feeling happy, they might want to respond to their friend and say, that's nice, or share an emoji or anything like that. But let's turn that off for the moment. We'll allow them to edit their answers so that if they decide to change their mind, they can go back and change that. So you've got the options there. I'm going to turn that one off as well, though. Now all I need to do is press the blue Ask button, and that is going to set itself off, and I will find it in Stream. So you can see here I'm back at the Stream homepage for the class, and G. Milliken has posted a new question. How are you feeling today? And any learner in my class should be able to go in and respond to that. Can I just ask, Richard, can you pop on and just see if you've got that update and if you're able to answer my question for me? So while Richard just goes into my class and answers my question, can you save existing docs into the class drive folder? You can indeed. If I go very quickly back to the Google Class, so on my drive, I can press new and I can create new folder. I can upload a file or I can upload a folder from my computer, and I can create new Google Docs, sheets and slides from here as well. So if I want to create anything new, I've got that new button, and if I want to upload anything new, I can upload the file here. And as well, what's interesting, you'll notice here, this file that I've shared with Richard earlier, if you can see just where my arrow's pointing, that blue square with the W, that's telling me that this is a Microsoft Word document, and Google Drive will happily handle Microsoft Word documents. So this is a Google Docs document, you can see with the blue box with the white lines, and this is a Microsoft Word document. So Google Drive will happily take any Microsoft documents that you have created. So if you've got a PowerPoint, you've got a Word document, you can add those With Google Drive, your Google Drive is private to you. So this is my drive here on the left-hand side. You can hopefully see that. This is my drive. These are my documents. Only I can see those. However, I have a shared drive, and I should be able to access that from my class. If I go back to my class here, go to classwork and view the class drive folder. Only my students can see this. Only people in my class are able to view this. So you can see this drive is very different from this drive. So my drive's a lot busier than my class drive. So the class drive is shared, but your own drive stays private. Download it first. If you have the share code, so if you've created a document on Office 365, if you go to share that document, let's see if I can demo that very quickly. If I create a Word document, I don't think you're going to see this on the screen just now, but if I create a Word document, it's just I'm using a different window here. So if I share it with my share code as you would in Office 365, if I give that to anyone with the link and I copy that link, I should be able to add the document. So when I've created a new assignment here, I've added a file with a link, and it looks like it is. It might ask me to log back into Glow when I try to open this Microsoft document. It is. But yes. So to answer that question, where were we? Comments open again. If you create a document in the replies to questions asked, as we probably all want to know rather than individual replies. So if you create a document on Glow using Office 365, you can share that document to your Google Classroom. What I'll do is we will save the list of questions and comments at the end. We'll have a wee look through and see if there's anything else there. What I've also done is there are some files in this Microsoft team in the Google Classroom channel that go over some of these questions that have been asked, and they're there as a PDF guide, and you can click through those and see the a sort of short tutorial on how to do some of these activities that people are asking about. So if I've created that first one you saw, that was in health and well-being. So I've posted there, and you can see Richard has responded with a wee sunshine, telling me that he is feeling great and the sun is out. You must live in a different part of Glasgow from me, Richard. The sun's not out where I am. So you can see there Richard can respond, and I can view that. If I click on the question, I can see that it's been assigned. Richard has indeed handed it in. It's not shown yet because it's been ungraded, so he's not had to hand that in. So back to my class. We've spoken about creating a question. One of the other bits I can do is upload some material. So if I have a reading comprehension paper, so I've got some text I'd like my learners to read, and I've already got one up my sleeve in Google Drive here. So here is a document all about Zac Efron. My learners don't have to do this. So that could be some information about a topic you're teaching, whether that's maths, literacy, health and well-being, social subjects. You can upload documents that you want them to read, as a material. They don't have to do anything with that. That's a literacy task, so I'm going to assign it to the literacy topic, and I'm going to post that, and my learners can now go and read that information. That is just for reading materials that might be useful for your learners. So you can assign them. We've covered questions, we've covered materials. The next bit we really want to think about in terms of learning and teaching are the assignments. So I'm going to choose an assignment, and the example I've got prepared is reading comprehension. Read the paper and answer questions. I might want to add more information there, answer questions in sentences, using examples from the paper, whatever you want to add to that. I'm going to assign it here just to George's class for the moment. What I will do, in fact, is I'll send it out to that Education Scotland class as well. There's going to be no points. It's due for Friday, and I'm going to put it in literacy and English. Now you see there's options here for originality reports and rubrics. The originality report is a bit like Turnitin, but it's pupil focused, so it just lets the pupil check that what they've written is fairly original. Might be useful in senior phase, I think, maybe upper ends of BGE education, but I doubt very much that primary learners are going to be checking their stories, their writing, their maths for originality, but that might be useful. And you can create a rubric which will let you do some quick assessment, but again, I think that's for another session. What we really want to get today is just get you creating learning activities, distributing them to your learners, and being able to do some feedback and some assessment based on that learning. So this is ready to go. All I want to do now is add, because I've already made these documents. If I didn't have them, I would create a new document and I could create a worksheet here. But because I've got the documents, I am going to add them from my drive. And I have a comprehension worksheet ready to go. And just in case they don't go to the materials, I'm going to give them another copy of that, the information sheet. I'm going to add those two files. And you'll see I've got an option here. Students can view the file, they can edit the file, or I can make a copy for each student. Now, on this information sheet, I don't want any learners changing that. I just want them to be able to view it. So that's fine, they can view it. I don't want them to edit it. If I wanted students to collaborate on this one sheet, I would use edit the file. So if I had a class sheet and I wanted everyone to add a comment to it, I would do edit file. But in this case, I want to know how the learners are getting on with this piece of learning. So I want each learner to have their own copy of the task. So I'm going to make a copy for each student. And once I've assigned that, it means that each learner will open, when they open that document, it will make a new copy for them. So that eventually I should have 33 copies of this being handed in. I'm set up, I'm ready to assign. And just while that's assigning, if there's any questions in the comments, I'll just go and check those. Looks okay just now. So that's assigning. While it's assigning, what we'll do is I'm going to switch over in a wee second and I'll show you what the pupil sees. So that was assigned in literacy and English. As the teacher, I can see that it's been assigned to Richard because he's the only student I have in my class. I can have a look and see where Richard is with his task. I could leave him a comment. You've not started yet, Richard. Or I could be more supportive. Let me know if you require any support with this. Fix my typos. and I can post that private comment to Richard on his task. So when he goes to start that worksheet, there's a wee comment there just saying, let me know if I can help you with this, if there's anything else you need. And that could be quite useful for learners to see. So that's what I can go in as the teacher. I can go in and look as Richard is typing away on this. I should be able to see what he has done. So if it's Friday evening and he's telling me that he's almost finished his homework, I could go in and check and see that he's actually not finished it. He's not even started it. Again, if a learner is halfway through it, but they're stuck in a particular question, then I could go in as the teacher and see where they are in that document and see what they require support with. So useful tools there. So what I'm going to do just now, that's the teacher view. I'm going to switch over to, I am enrolled as a pupil in Richard's class, and I can see here that Mr. McKean has posted a new assignment. So I can send a wee message here to my teacher. That's popping up to encourage me to do that. And if I click on this document, I'm able to go in. I can see I've got my learning intention. I've got some success criteria. Where was Zach born? And I will have in my documents, I have that Word document, so I can read the Word document. He was born in San Luis Obispo in California. And I can go back, input that information. And again, I've got to answer using the question. So I'm just going back and make sure I've got my spelling, my punctuation, anything else in there. And I can go through the document. I can read it. I can read the information here. I'm reading for information. When I find an answer, I can use that to answer my worksheet. And once I'm finished, that was quick. Once I'm finished, up in the top corner, I can turn it in. So I've got that option to hand that in, and Richard should hopefully see that back in as my assessment. While I'm on the Google Docs, very quickly, down at the bottom, you'll see this wee Explore button, and what it's going to do is read my document, and it's telling me I'm talking about comprehension, San Luis Obispo and California. So if I wanted to know more about where Zac Efron came from, I can click that link, and it's going to find me some web entries, images. So I could even put an image in to answer that question, and it will find information from here. So that's quite useful for extending learners' thinking. They can add information using that Explore button in the bottom left corner. That's on all Google document types. You can do that. So beauty as well with the docs is it saves automatically. So if I close that window, it will save my progress. Don't want to be in there. It will save my progress, and I can go back to that task at any point. Could I add something and allow maybe a pair of children to work collaboratively? You could indeed. As I say, if you create a task, I need to go back to my class for that. So if I create the question or the task, I can assign it to just Richard. So I could assign it to one of two pupils, or two or three pupils here. And if I'm adding that material, then I should be able to let them edit it. Not in questions then. So if I go in through assignment, so students can edit the file together, but I'm only going to assign that to 2 or 3 students in my class. So you could do that to differentiate. You could set that to one group and let them work on it together, and you could give others individual learning. That's entirely up to you how you manage that. That's a good question there. Is there a way to have both docs open at the same time to move between them? That's just about managing your windows. They would both be, they would be in separate windows, and you would just want to go between them there. Let me see if I go back to Digital School. See my classwork. Yeah, so they're just going to open up as, there will be separate windows, but it's just then to go between those tabs. You could always set them up as two separate windows. If I drag that tab out, and I use the task view, I'm using Windows, this might be different for different devices, and I could set my windows up so that I have them both, but they won't be in the same tab because they are different tabs in the browser, unfortunately. But that's a way you can manage that with Windows. On an iPad, you could drag from the dock at the bottom, and I imagine, try to think on the fly, my Chromebook would let me have two windows up at the same time. But I appreciate that's not maybe the easiest for youngest learners to set that up to view. So we head out to students to support poor readers. That's a question. If I go back to the Digital Schools one, if I have this document now, it depends on the device that you're using, because some web browsers will read to you, such as Microsoft Edge. It will read aloud. The iPad, obviously, Siri can read anything on the screen to you. So if you're using an iPad to view this, you would be able to have it read to you. With the G Suite, the accessibility options such as read aloud are built in with add-ons. So you can see at the top of my browser here, I have read and write. Now that's not enabled to start with on the Google G Suite. Your authority's got to ask for that to be enabled through the Google Chrome store. So whoever's in charge of IT at your authority has got to request read and write to be made available for Google, for G Suite and Google Classroom. Once that is available in your authority, you've got to add that browser extension. So there's a few steps to go through. I think that's something we'll maybe do a wee tutorial video on. We'll create a wee tutorial around that and just make sure the guidance is spot on. But once I've got that, I can use that to read any text on the screen. So if I highlight this, read and write should start to read for me. It's gone. Not sure why it's not reading, just I don't know if that's my volume. So it is, there's a few steps to that. Unfortunately, it's not built in the Glow build. It has got to be requested, but it has got some extra features like this practice reading aloud where learners can use the microphone. It will listen to them reading. So I can record myself reading it. Zac Efron, early life. Efron was born in San Luis Obispo, California, and it will give me some feedback, and it can send that on to the teacher to say that that's how well George is reading if you're focusing on reading aloud. So there are some useful parts to that, but it isn't built in to start with, unfortunately. But your web browser might well allow you to do that. I know Microsoft Edge has a reader built in, so I should be able to click in text and have it read to me, but that will depend on your device. Is that does make sense? That's I wasn't sure it did. So there's a few wee steps with that, so it's not quite as easy, unfortunately, as the Office 365, just the way that the tenancy works. So those are the last wee bits that I want to show you. I'm going to go back to teacher mode. I'm going to look at George's class, and I can see there any task that I've set. So as I said, I'd set that one out. I can see what Richard's done with that. I can see if Richard's made any progress with it. It's as straightforward as that. I think once Richard has done his task, let's see which one he completed. The How Are You Today. That's the one. How are you feeling today? So Richard has completed that. I just want to have a wee look at it, if it will open up for me. Here we go. So I should be able to go back and check in with that. That's not a full document, so it's not letting me see it. If I do it in my pupil view, Richard, can I get you to just go and turn in the Zac Efron reading document quickly? So you shouldn't have to write anything on it, but hopefully if you just, if you open that document up and turn it in, there we go. Brilliant. So once Richard's handed that work in, so I'd asked him already if he needed any support with it. I can have a look over his answers. If he's on the document at the same time, I can actually see where he is. And I can give him feedback, like try using the info sheet attached. And once he's finished that, I could then say, great job, all your answers are in sentences and you've used the text for supporting detail. So that's what I wanted him to do. If he's done that, I can give him that feedback. And I can post that to him. In fact, I should be able to return it. Is that handed in? Yep. If you turn that in. Sorry, Richard, is that definitely turned?
Yep, it's handed in.
Turned in. It should give me the option here just to return. There we go. So once Richard has done it, it just took a wee minute there. I can return this submission. I can return all the submissions or multiple out of a list. And once I return that to Richard, he will see the feedback that I've given him in the comments. So rather than where we are, most of us at the moment are probably just handing out learning tasks for learners, getting them back with photos or videos or marking things. We can do it all in that one bit, and it's telling me there that Richard's handed it in and I've returned it now. That's all updated, and it shows me the feedback that I have given him. So I can see all the feedback for learners down this left-hand side as they filter in. So that's kind of very helpful, I think, to hand out tasks, to support learners with tasks as they're going, and then I can provide them with feedback, and it lets me keep a hold of it all, lets me manage it all by the topics, and then within the topics by the tasks. So I can view each topic, I can view each task, and that's maybe a wee bit clean and crisp, more so than having documents all over the place, perhaps in a Teams page. Again, the last part we were saying was just at the start, is just to make sure that whoever you invite, if we go to people at the top, if you have invited people by email or you've got learners to join up with a code, just make sure that their email has that @Glow, and it shouldn't let anyone join who's not. Shouldn't let anyone join who's not in Glow. It will give you an error message for that, but just double check that they are indeed the person that it should be. So you can click on and just check where their emails for that should have their email address there to tell you it is. So it's got Richard McKean because he's in Glow. It doesn't need his email because it's going to populate his name because he is a member of Glow. So if you had Richard McKean at Hotmail showing up down here, I would be removing that person from the class. I would not be having anyone join without joining through their Glow. As I say, I don't think Classroom will let you join without being in Glow, but just safety first with those anything online. So I think that is probably us. We have a list of people, any non-pupils. So there we go. What I'm going to do just to finish off is give you access to a class that I have set up. And what that will be quite handy for is you can see it as a pupil, because when you create your own class, you will have teacher permissions. And sometimes that's a wee bit different from the pupil permissions. And if a pupil's having trouble with something, you can't quite see what they're saying. So I have set up a class called Education Scotland Digital Team Demo. The class code is ASK7KPB, and I'm just going to post that into Teams for you. And I'll put it in the comments here. So you might want to join that class you can be in as a pupil, and that would mean that if any pupils are having difficulty, you can see what they can see, and that might help you just to manage supporting learners if you've got the same view that they have of a pupil's view of a class. With the classwork, one wee bit was just to make sure if you are sharing classwork, if you're creating tasks from G Suite, so if you're going to create a demo doc, webinar, my class. So you've created a document and you want to share it. If you're going to share that with another teacher, for example, if you want to share it with your learners, share it in the class. But say you wanted to share this with another teacher because they've got a similar class. If you go to that shareable link, and you'll have to turn on link sharing and go to sharing settings. You'll need to make sure that the specific people that you want to edit it. So if you've both got Education Scotland accounts, now that's not the same as having a Glow account, so that's effectively my school or my local authority account. So you might want to make sure that it's available for only specific people or anyone with the link. And then you can set whether they can edit it or view it. So you want to make sure it's set to edit. And you can copy that link and share it with a colleague, and they would be able to access that document that you've made. And that could be useful for sharing, but there are quite a few settings. I think as standard, it is set to view within your establishment, which is your authority, and it's set only to view. So you'll need to make sure you have changed. If you're trying to share a file from your Google Drive with a colleague, those are the settings you've got to make sure of. Have a wee play about. So that was just if I right-clicked on the document, get a shareable link, and I've got to make sure the link sharing is on. The sharing settings are set to what I need them to be. So say it might be anyone with the link can view it, and that they can edit it if that's what you want them to be able to do. Then you can copy that link and others will be able to access your files quickly and easily. I think that is it. I've sent that code, so I'll just check in and see if anyone has tried to join the team yet. Yeah, I've got a bunch of people already, so I'll just leave a wee comment in there. And you can let me know if you post into there. I'll check in and see, or you can contact us through Teams as well. But hopefully you can start to respond to that. And it's a wee sandbox to have a play about and just see what works with Google Classroom for you. The student view we covered. And then the last wee part is you've also got Glow Connect for support. Back in the Teams, I'm just going to sharing here. So I'm going to share my whole desktop with you. So back to the Teams here. Hopefully you can see Teams. In the Google Classroom channel up at the top, I have posted, I've added tabs here. So there's Welcome to Classroom, and hopefully if it's not loading due to traffic, there we go. So this is the Google for Education Teacher Center. It has everything you need to know about Google Classroom. So there are video tutorials for every part of things that we've covered and more. So that if you want to go in and see more about Google Classroom and things that you can do, but always bear in mind that as with Microsoft Teams and Office 365, the Glow tenancy, some of the permissions are a wee bit different, so you might not be able to do everything there. You can do training, similar to the Microsoft Innovative Educator. You can become a Google Educator, so you can do all of the training for free. You can sign up and cover different training about docs that will tell you how those work.